All right, welcome to Ghost of Saltmarsh, everyone, and to session 0. We have 6 players with us. You can see them all kind of lined up on the side of the stream there. That way. But they're all on Discord with me right now. We're going to play this game on Discord. We're going to play it on Roll20 as well. And just kind of going through at the very beginning here, kind of what you guys are expecting of me, what I'm going to be able to do for you as best as I possibly can. Make sure that everybody feels comfortable with where we're started. And so that's the first chunk of what session 0 is supposed to look like. Then beyond session 0, we also get a little bit into the setting of Saltmarsh, which is where this game is, and where all our new characters, which we'll introduce today, are going to be, what they look like, where they're going, they're all starting off at a similar location and just kind of build from there. So I'm your DM. I'm Windy J. I go by Windy J online. It's my wonderful way of compartmentalizing, if you will. So and actually I'm a high school music teacher, and all my students call me Windy J anyway, so it's starting to kind of get normal for me. But and then of course we have all our other players here. We have I'm probably going to call them mostly by their characters' names more often than anything, but we also just met, as my internet's tried to crash a couple of moments ago. This is how we introduce ourselves. So basically what I want to do with this game is make sure that it is as fun for you as possibly can be. This is I'm not being paid for this. I'm doing this for fun because I enjoy D&D like there's no tomorrow. I found it about 2 years ago, and I've never gotten out of this deep and dark chasm that is the world of imagination. But I want everybody to have just as much fun as I'm having with this too. So if you are as we're going through things, because everybody's got a different set of expectations, if there's anything that you are feeling is not quite the way you're wanting it to be, you're not having fun, I'm going to give you a promise. I'm going to tell you, if you tell me that you're not having fun, or there's something not quite right, the way it doesn't make you feel comfortable or something along those lines, you could choose to tell me publicly on the Discord. You could tell me privately that something's just not quite right for you by way of a direct message if you wanted to, and I'll address it. If it's in the middle of a game, then oftentimes what I have done in the past is just simply take a break. I'd talk to you a little bit about it. If it's a quick and easy solve, then we do it that way. But I always address it. I'm always going to figure out a way of doing so. And like I said, I'm relatively new to Dungeons and Dragons. I'm going to learn as I'm going along here, and there's always things that I can do better. So hearing from you guys on how I can do that, I appreciate. So as I said, it's a free game. I'm doing it for stinks and giggles. I do have a little thing in there because as much as it's a free game, I also like to be able to get new things for you guys. And so for all those who are watching on Twitch or on the video on demand on YouTube, I will be, there is a donations link. We have had, the donations actually the reason why I have Ghost of Saltmarsh, which is kind of nice. So they are welcome. They help me get the assets for the game, but they're certainly not a requirement. All I care about is that we're having fun. And so I'm going to make the storyline succeed as best as I possibly can with your characters. You guys get a chance to really, you're writing the story characters. I'm giving you the framework, and that's pretty much it. So if you decide that you are going to attack an ancient bronze dragon on session 2, I guess that's what you're doing, and I will make it happen. So
sacrifice ourselves.
Let's not do that.
I'm going to agree. Yeah.
So where is this ancient bronze dragon that we're gonna go fight?
Oh, you haven't met it.
No.
And now
it's
that
happening.
Yeah, now it's gonna happen for sure.
Intelligence.
I chained myself to a rock and get sacrificed to a sea monster.
Oh, not again. It's the third time this week.
That's right.
Not again.
I was watching one of the D&D channels talking about how there isn't a Crack-a-Lich yet, and so hey, we might create something.
Oh god.
Well, the
Oh,
problem with that is that, like,
no.
if you think the Kraken is like some sort of like giant squid thing, it doesn't have like a lot of like hard bony parts to lichify.
No, it's pretty tricky that way. But we are D&D. We are creative people.
It can be cartilage, I think.
So my job is going to be basically to take you through this. It's a published campaign by Wizards of the Coast. I'm going to start us off with what they've provided for us. If we end up deviating from their plan, I'm not going to cry too much. But if they're, generally speaking, that's going to be where I take my content from. I am going to have a lot going on. I'm going to have lots of characters that I'm going to be managing, non-player characters that I'm going to be managing. So I'm going to trust all of you guys to know your characters really well. If your character could have cast Bless and prevented a really bad Constitution save from failing, I'm not going to tell you. That's going to be up to you guys. I might be kind enough to say, are you sure you're done your turn? But that's about as far as I'm going to go. If you're not certain about a rule or about a feature that your character has or how I would rule on it, feel free to ask. I don't have a lot of homebrew rules. I could tell you 2 of them right off the top of my head. Cats have dark vision. That is a homebrew rule of mine. And
Seems legit.
yeah,
Yay.
it just makes sense to me. And I also go kind of with the critical role version of Find Familiar, which is a very direct literal translation. Although if you talk to the authors of what Find Familiar was supposed to go like, I don't go strictly by their raw rules. I'd go by I find familiar something like 100 feet, I think is the distance. But past that, you just can't communicate with your familiar, but you can see through their vision. So if you're gonna end up having a familiar, we can talk about that and make sure that we're clear about that too. I don't, like I said, but I don't have a lot. Those are the only 2 that I can actually remember off the top of my head. Everything else is going to be rules as written for the part. Time's always going to be 2 hours long, and the reason why is because I'm doing this in the morning for me. I'm in Canada on the west, near the Rocky Mountains, and my school day, which I start teaching, starts fairly quickly after we're done our game. I go to 8 o'clock my time, so it's a 2-hour game, and if we're in the middle of combat, then I try to get us to the top of initiative, and we wait till the next week afterwards. I'm hoping that that's going to work for everybody. You're all here, so obviously it's going to be noon Greenwich Mean Time, but only 2 hours long. Nice bite-sized versions of the game, I think, for the most part anyway. If you can't make it for whatever reason, generally speaking, I will try not to play your character too much because it is your character. If it's a situation where it's obvious something that your character would have to be the one that would deal with it, then I will do it to the best of my ability. I am not as good at accents as I would like to be. So if you're doing accents, I will try, and I will run the risk of murdering your accent, and I apologize in advance, but that's basically how we're going to go with it. If we end up in battle and you can't be there, generally speaking, I'll either have you outside of the battle where you wouldn't actually even get involved in the first place, or you'll just take dodge actions. I do my darndest not to kill your characters when you're not there. And I think that was a great big long list. At this point in time, I'm going to kind of turn it over to you guys in terms of sharing with me things that you may have experienced in some other games that you aren't comfortable with, so that I can avoid them like the plague. I can tell you right now that I am not going to go into massive, gruesome gore. If you're one of those characters who likes to get right into the things, into like torture or talk about some really deep stuff that comes with like sexual assaults and things like that. For that matter, relationships are kind of a tough thing to do in the first place, so we kind of talk about it in advance. But if you're expecting me to turn this into like an R-rated kind of or extreme R-rated kind of thing, I'm not probably going to go down that. I want everybody to have fun, and I want everybody watching on Twitch to have fun too. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with in terms of how deep into my details I'm going to try and detail things, but not 127 days kind of detail.
Right. Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds good.
What about is there anything for you guys that you already know? If you go down this road, it's going to trigger me, and I'm not going to be good with it. Is there anything that kind of falls along those lines for you guys?
Something tells me the school teacher's not gonna trigger me in any way.
He'll try.
True.
No, he won't try.
No.
It's my release. As much as my students seem to think that I can do quite a few, it can get kind of irritating. It's mostly because of my puns, though. So I hope you can handle those.
Oh, I'm a master of puns.
Yes. Good.
I
draw
see you
hard
are a
line.
fellow man of culture as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
draw a line on puns, I'm afraid.
dropping left and right.
That's all right. We can duel to the death over the ability to make puns later.
Beautiful. Yeah, I can't wait for him. Liam Aiken, thanks for following. Appreciate that. Actually, there's a bunch of people who followed offline over the past little bit. I appreciate that. So Ross, a friend of mine, and then of course a number of our players here too. Appreciate it all. Blech. Words. I appreciate it all. And that's pretty much, I think, what I wanted to cover for the very beginning. Unless there was anything else anybody had to ask in terms of questions. If there's anything that you want to know before we get the whole show going.
Nope. I'm good.
I think, well, I think the big question, I don't know how likely it will be to encounter like potions and stuff. I'm guessing, since might be at least going into like level 5 or 6 or something.
Right.
I'm guessing it will find some. Do they still remain like an action to consume them yourself?
I like to do that
Or-
as a bonus action.
It's a bonus action. All right,
Yeah, that's a great.
Yay.
Yeah, I always forget that
All
that's
cool
that
stuff.
there's a lot of people who prefer the bonus action version of things. The only time that would be questionable is if you've already, if all of your extremities are already engaged, then chances are I might not give it to you. For example, if you are grappled by a roper or something like that, and you can't get your hands
Right.
out to even drink, then I might say, yeah, I don't think you're going to get a chance to do it. But generally speaking, bonus action is probably pretty good.
Good stuff.
So you're telling me I can't use my teeth to open a potion as a bonus action?
Oh, you can open the potion
Seems
with your teeth and
completely
lips.
unreasonable. I mean, I don't know if I can deal with this.
It's not whether or not you could use your teeth, it's whether or not you can actually get it to your teeth in the first place.
Yeah.
Just eat the entire thing.
Yeah. Right.
Eat the glass. Yeah.
Crunch
Like-
it
Bottle.
down. Oh.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
With a type, that's fair enough.
I guess, we're going to get down that road right off the top here, hey? All right, so let's see here. First place, so where we're going to start this whole shebang is we're going to go right into the trope of starting a D&D game in a tavern. And I know it's a trope, but it's honestly in Saltmarsh, it's
A
pretty much the main
time-honored
place.
tradition.
Yeah, in Saltmarsh, it's pretty much the place that it's going to be, that things are going to get started with anyway. So, let's get a little bit of tavern mood going on here, shall we? And tavern mood. All right. And so you are in it's kind of become a popular tavern in Saltmarsh. Tavern is called the Snapping Line, and it's just off of the dock. It's basically looking onto the docks of Saltmarsh. Saltmarsh is a relatively small community. You get this being here very briefly. I'm going to say that you've all kind of arrived at around the same time from a variety of different directions. But it's on the very southern end, kind of the forgotten areas of the Kingdom of Keoland. It's far enough away from the central areas of the kingdom that it's kind of been this backwater place that people have forgotten about. But it's starting to get a little bit more attention, which is kind of what has probably brought many of you here. And so coming to the docks, because you've noticed as soon as you get into Saltmarsh, that's basically the main place of activity is the docks, the fishing and such. So you go, if you're trying to get a little bit of a sense as to what the town is going to be like, one of the places you guys have known is by way of taverns and inns. So you are at the Snapping Line. Snapping Line is, the best way to describe it is your basic dock tavern. With it's the main space of it is kind of an L shape, large area with a little bit of a jut out to the left, when you first enter into the building, and then a long bar along the inside of the L. The bar is managed by a female commoner. The smell is particularly fishy. Everything. Fish permeates everything. If you're used to being on the sea, if your character's used to being on the sea, then chances are it's not as grating. But if you've come from some other location inland, or if you've come from wealth in particular as a background, the fish smell is particularly grating. You think that your sense of smell is probably going to come dead to it in about a day and a half. It's that thick. The fare that people are enjoying here, there seems to be this kind of a creamy colored liquor that they're drinking. It's not really ale. There is ale, but there are some people who are drinking this creamy colored kind of thing instead. And then there's lobsters and fish and fries and things like that. What I'm going to ask for you guys each to do, we're going to go through the group here to kind of describe, when people are looking around the tavern, some of the different characters they're going to see. So we'll start off, and while you're doing it, to kind of describe what your character looks like. Maybe you can kind of give a little bit of a sense of the kind of personality just by the way they carry themselves. Don't really necessarily need to get into the deep backstory at this point. But certainly just first glance, what are people probably going to notice about your character? And chances are also where your character's likely to be located in the tavern. Are they going to be in the front door? They're going to be located in the dark corner where they forgot to put lighting? Are they going to be located at the bar chatting it up with everybody else? Where are they most likely going to be located? And so we'll start with, we're going to go alphabetically because it seems to work. We'll start with Ermintrude. So
Yeah.
Ermintrude. Ermintrude, go ahead and describe your character for us.
Okay, so my character's name is Miss Ermintrude Fanshawe. I mean, she technically has a title, but like she's not gonna use it. She's in a more humble town. She's not trying to be high profile, at least for now. So she's Miss Ermintrude Fanshawe. So she's kind of like dressed in like very common clothing, because as you know, a lady is always dressed for the occasion and the appropriate social situation. She's not trying to be flashy. She's just wearing common clothes. Actually, if you like check out in her room, you'd probably see like she has like a lot of change of clothes. Like I did use some of my gold to do that, with no regrets. And so she's got like this sort of like brown skin, very dark hair, very typical of sort of like her human heritage. In Greyhawk, they're called, oh god, I forgot. But something like one of the races in Greyhawk which are like that. And so she's kind of like sitting at a table that's near to the light. She's kind of like scribbling on piece of parchment. I also bought like this super expensive ink for this. But yeah, so she's just like writing down her thoughts as she's like looking around. And that's it. So she's got like right next to her writing implement, she has her wand, which is how she casts her spell. She's a wizard, and she's just like sort of like taking down her thoughts for the day and just like waiting for things to transpire, that's it.
Awesome. Alrighty. So
Iridian, that's it, Fulgar. Thank you.
Yeah.
right, rock on. All right. So now we're gonna go to Filian is next.
Alrighty. Also, I can see your teacher things coming out with the alphabetically.
That's so true.
Let me ask you: are there fish in the bar? Or, like in the tavern?
there is not like an aquarium with fish in it per se. You do actually happen to see one kind of a behind the bar near the end. There is a mounted fish, but that
Okay.
is pretty much it at this point. And it's a fairly large fish, but I'd say think like a tarpon kind of sport fish or like a marlin, fairly large.
All right, so Filion is an ASMR from out in the middle of nowhere. This is his first time here, so he's kind of like super invested in everything. Like he is way too close to people, and he's just like in front of this big fish, like scribbling furiously on a notepad. He has dyed red hair, and he's got white eyes and gray skin. And he is a fighter.
Okay. Alrighty. That brings us now to Fulgar. Am I saying that right one? Fulgar?
You can call me whatever you like, mate.
That's dangerous territory.
Yeah, that's true. All right, maybe not whatever you like. You know, just nice things. Then. Yeah, Fulgar. I think he's probably been called worse. He's probably at the bar rather than at a table. He's probably sipping one of the flagons of creamy liqueur that the locals are liking. He doesn't look like he's bothered by the smell. He's got brown hair, blue eyes. I think I am also Iridian, if I know my Greyhawk ethnicity's right. I look like my character picture. He's got like a sort of greenish brown sort of tunic over like you can see chainmail underneath it, and then like padding underneath that. It looks like he's mostly wearing these sort of tunic over it to sort of keep out the cold and prevent the rain from getting to the chainmail. Probably got his shield and spear sort of either stacked against the bar, or I don't know if they've got like the equivalent of an umbrella stand for spears and like weapons. If they have, then he's put it in that. But otherwise, they're just sort of leaning against the bar with him. He probably looks like he's about halfway into his drink, smiling. Filion, if your character's like wandering around, getting too close to people, Fulgar would have happily sort of engaged you in conversation and wouldn't have seemed like he minded too much. In fact, probably quite friendly, sort of happily engaged you in conversation. And yeah, he's a sort of smiley, friendly bloke. Doesn't seem like the smell bothers him that much. And he's got around his neck, it's quite prominent. There's a symbol of his god, like a pretty valuable looking heavy medallion that occasionally he sort of like fidgets with, basically. Symbol of Procan, the god of the sea, the weather, and the waves. Yeah, that's me.
Marvelous. All right, and when these things kind of happen, I am going to resolve a couple things after your descriptions are done, but I'm going to let you guys go through these descriptions unabated first. So we'll go over now to Garland.
I am playing Garland. He is a nearly 8-foot tall barbarian Goliath, and he starts looking around the tavern as soon as he enters, and you can tell the fish smell bothers him as he crinkles his nose. He's wearing a hooded shawl and is wet with rain, if it's raining.
It is lightly raining, by the way.
Yeah. He immediately goes to a corner and sits down, more just checking out the room and trying to stay as low profile as he can, though he's struggling. He doesn't look, unless you guys know Goliaths, doesn't look like he's from anywhere. He's just a big guy and himself.
Good deal. Alrighty, so And you guys are all seeing each other as you're in these different states as well. You're very clearly seeing there's not very much. I mean, there's lots of other people in the tavern as well that that you can notice, and I'll describe them in a couple. But you can clearly see everybody across. Jackie.
All right. So Jackie's a half-elven fellow. He's got a little pointed ears, but if you notice, there's one of them that it's slightly cut, just to make it a little rounder. It's on his right side. On the left side of his face, there's a little scar that runs across, and on that same side of the face, there's a little it's quite noticeable strand of white hair that just goes to the back and hangs on his ponytail. He's wearing little, standard clothes, loose clothes to keep away the humidity and the hotness that the coast must provide. He's surely going to be sitting at the bar, just enjoying a cup of ale and starting to look around, isn't it? Looking into some people who can share a story and who can share an ale.
And last but not least, Kahoy. Did I say
yes.
that right? Kahoy?
Yeah, that's fine. Kahoy, yeah. So Kahoy, you see, is at least from his face, a young-looking human with scars that go past the corners of his mouth into kind of like a smile towards his jaw, kind of thing. He's mostly hooded, in traveler's clothing, and while he is kind of slouched, not trying to catch any sort of attention in the bar, as he looks around as he's inside, he seems to be looking for something. And at the notice of the big Goliath, decides to come close to him, and that's pretty much as much description as I could get.
All right, so we will kind of dive into a couple of things. First thing, you've all probably by now met the innkeeper, the human commoner I mentioned before. She is young, and she goes by the name of Hannah. And so, Fulgar, you've got this lovely cream type ale in your hands. First quick question, Fulgar, how much experience have you had on the sea and around the docks, generally speaking?
Yeah, so Fulgar's relatively experienced on the sea, and indeed like sailing in general. His background's a sailor. He's served on 3 ships prior to this game, 2 merchant vessels and 1 war vessel. So he kind of looks a bit sort of salt worn. Like there's a kind of like skin blasted look that you get from sailing on the sea for a while. He's got it like round his eyes. Yeah. So.
Perfect. So the ale on your journeys on the sea with your different merchant vessels, your warship, you oftentimes come across very unique locations that offer very unique versions of drinking, and this is no different. With this lovely little cream drink that you've got, you kind of have to like dog with peanut butter on the roof of his mouth, kind of taste through it. It's got a strong lobster meat kind of flavor, and you're pretty certain it's got like potato in it to give it some thickness. It is, it's a taste, it's a flavor. Billion with the kind of exploring everything as you get close to that fish that's actually on the wall. Its head turns, points at you, and starts singing a song.
Fillion tries to sing along.
Sorry, say again. You cut out on me there for a sec.
Oh, he tries his best to sing along.
Okay, so you're singing along to "There's a place I'd like to go, farther up the river's flow. Where it is, I do not know. Must be where the pirates go."
Could have been a sea shanty.
It could have been, but I was not going to dive down that road today. But yeah, there. So that's one of the features of this tavern that you get to enjoy. The other features tend to be the people around. So you will have actually had a conversation by now with Hannah to learn that she comes from a lobster family. That's a lobster and crabbing kind of family. That's where she started from, but she's taken over this tavern, and she's used some of her experience with her family to create this very unique lobster and potato ale. The whether or not you drink it is up to you. Fulgar is.
Wow.
And
Hey, you should try this. It's pretty good.
go for it.
Sort of gesture to whoever needs to try the whoever's not drinking, really. Like anybody who's not drinking, wave a flagon at them, slap a seat next to him. Like, you should try this. It's pretty good. I'm pretty sure there's is there lobster in
Have
this?
a drink with me, but like I'm drinking it with a spoon because it's a soup.
So Filion has never had a drink before, and he like sits next to you and like says, "Okay, sure."
You friend, you look like a kind of person who's never had a drink before in their life. Am I right?
That's about right, darn tootin'.
I could tell just by looking at your eyes. Well, have I got a treat for you? Here is a liquor that tastes of not only liquor, but potato, and also, apparently, lobster. I've never drank anything like it before. Have a try.
Potato. I sure do like me some potato. So he just like kind of throws it back. He's like not even like he has no reservations. He just like chugs it.
All right. Well, now I got to get the roll 20 out so we can check out some of these rolls. Let's get you to roll a Constitution saving throw on it then, real quick, just to see how things get.
Oh, that's at 20.
Oh
Hell
wow!
yeah!
This is how we
Yeah.
start. A nat
Amazing.
20. Beautiful. All right. So I'm not. That's just brilliant right there. So then, yeah, you take it back, and there was one little chunk of the lobster that didn't completely get blended up properly, but aside from that, it went down nice and smooth.
Nice.
All right.
Blended lobster.
So you chug it back, and Fulgar, you're watching this person who has apparently never had a drink before. You unfazed?
I think Fulgur just kind of blinks slightly. Huh. You did say you'd never... Well, I'm glad you like it. Name's Fulgur. Sticks a
Nice
hand
to
out.
meet you. Nice to meet you, Fulgar. Filion just kind of like shakes your hand, but it's kind of weird for him because they normally hug in his village. So it's kind of like weird to him, but he like shakes it kind of awkwardly.
Fulgur notices the sort of awkwardness. He's relatively insightful. Did your character like actually go for a hug?
Yeah, he like kind of like leaned forward and then like saw the hand, like they do in like movies. Like he like goes
Right,
into
right,
the
right,
hug
right,
and then
right.
like he sees the hand.
So, seeing that, Fulgur just smiles broadly and pulls the arm forward and goes in for the hug as well. Just gives him a good back pat a couple of times.
Oh, nice. The Filion just like goes into it.
Good to meet you, friend.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
So to everybody else, these guys
Another
look
one.
like
Another one here, Hannah.
certainly, and she brings one over to you very quickly. And to everybody else, you see these two people appear as though they've been long lost friends.
I don't have anything to do, but I do have one question. Does Hannah have like a surname?
Hannah does. Her surname is, so you can go ahead and ask.
Because I would have asked that.
Yeah,
Sorry, what
yeah.
is it?
So she would have said, the name is Wrist. My last name is Wrist. My family name is Wrist.
As in like the body part wrist?
Without the W, but yes.
Okay.
Another ale?
Oh, thank you. I'm still enjoying my wonderful lobster soup, Miss Wrist.
She kind of grimaces a little bit at that, but she keeps her smile afterwards. And pleasure. Just call if you need. So if I recall, I'm trying to keep all my characters straight. Kahoy, you said you were going to go and introduce yourself to somebody. Who were you going to introduce yourself to?
Yeah, I was the moment I saw the big Goliath, Garland. I was gonna approach him because he was
Sure.
on his own, right? From
Yeah.
I remember.
Yep, up in the corner.
Yes.
Yep.
Go for it.
As I come close, as Kahoy comes close, is Garland looking in any specific direction or?
He's looking all around the tavern, just keeping his head down as much as he can, and as soon as you come up to him, he's looking you up and down, kind of nervously.
Excuse me, you big fighter,
You could say that.
You do the work, mercenary, adventuring, big man, you know.
I can do whatever you want and crush just about anyone. But
You look for a team? Maybe I can help you, you know.
maybe he's gonna like try and insight check you. He's not
Sure.
very good at it.
All right, go ahead.
Roll it out.
What's it? Wait, what are you trying to check? Check for.
He's just checking if you're one of the people he's afraid of meeting.
Oh, okay.
He's hunting him.
He does.
I don't think you are. So he's gonna say, "Sounds fine. Name's Garland."
Oh, sorry. I'm doing push to talk, so it's like the button is getting away from my phone sometimes. Hello, Garland. My name is Kahoe.
Pleasure. What do you need a team for?
I want to do different thing, you know, different life. I do a lot of work in ship, so look like a lot of people here. Maybe ask for more fighter, more teammate. No.
Well, I can certainly fight, and if you're going on a ship, then that might just work out perfectly.
Kahoe starts looking around, and seeing kind of the long lost friends, right? Like the middle table or something like that, right? Was it something like that?
Yeah, you're going to see some long lost friends. You'll also see a number of people. They all look salt worn, not dissimilar to Fulgar. In some of them much older with scraggly beards. There's actually one fellow with a fairly thick white beard everywhere except for the bottom right corner of his chin. A great big bare patch there. But lots of other people who obviously look to you as though they are in the fishing industry.
But we can like clearly see that Filian has like armor on, and even Fulgar looks to be an adventuring type, right?
You would have definitely noticed that for sure.
Got chainmail under the tunic.
Yeah, I motion to Garland. Maybe that group there, huh? Look like adventure type, you know.
Garland puts a massive paw on his shoulder and says, "Maybe. I have to check him out myself."
Lead the way, big man.
Garland gets up and starts walking towards the group.
It's also worth noting that Filian like mega stands out here. He's got like that gray skin and like the bright white eyes. So he's like standing out way more than anyone else. Maybe not more than Garland, but like probably at the same level that Garland is standing out.
All right. And Erminshrude, you are just looking. You've kind of stopped writing. You're looking around. Remind me, where in the bar are you located at the moment?
I would be probably near a window, next to the door, and yeah, I'm just like waiting around for like, some developments to happen. So I'm not quite gonna see what's happening yet.
And Jack, you were at the bar, is
Right.
that right?
Yes.
So
Got it.
Anna would have asked, would have just tried to see if you're interested in some of the lobster and chips that they offer there, being up at the bar, and just kind of keep up maybe chat you up a little bit, in between other clientele that she'd be working with.
I'll gladly take some of the things you have to offer. Sure thing. Yeah. If you got something to snack, that'll be swell.
Ooh, that I can do. So she'll pop into the back where you can clearly tell there must be some other people who work here that are putting together the food. Pops into the back, shouts out, "Crab chips!" Comes back out to check on everybody else as well.
So you see, young fella Milad, to Filion, one of the key ingredients to a good first drink, as well as downing it in one like that, which, gotta admit, very impressive, is the bar snack. This guy, pointing at Jack, this guy's got it. You gotta have crab chips or like crackling or something to get your thirst up again so that you can drink another one.
Fillion is nodding intensely and just like scribbling all this down. And he's just like he's super like invested in everything that you're saying, and he's like, sure, Hannah, can I get another one of this here colored water, please?
Certainly. It was the colored water.
Fulgar
Certainly.
mouths colored water to her, like, huh?
She's looking at everybody, looking at you guys kind of inquisitively, but then at the same time with joy. You get the sense that she hasn't had very many people buy into her ale as much as she would hope. So to have a group of people demonstrate an interest, you've kind of made her day, probably. And so she goes off to create some more.
So, looking at Philion, yes. Clearly not from here.
Yeah, I'm from a town, kind of way out of the way. We they didn't really want me to go exploring, but you know, my and then he like stops himself from mentioning his angelic guide, because that's really weird to say just like to strangers. And he's like, but I just really wanted to explore and write stuff.
You think?
Oh, pardon?
Oh, I was just noting, we've got 2 note takers.
Fillion looks over at her. What are you writing over there? I'm working on an encyclopedia.
Oh, I was just very curious about what you said about your drinking practices. I'm not also like, I don't also go out much, so I'm sorry for not knowing these things. But it's very interesting though. So bar nuts, you say, like crackers and stuff? By the way,
Fulgar,
I'm so
having
sorry.
drunk,
My
like,
name, but first though, I'm sorry. My name, how rude of me, is Miss Ermintrude Fanshaw, and I take out my hand. I bring out my hand and try to shake yours.
Filions or Fulgars?
Like both of you. Oh, because you would be both. And what are your names? Sorry.
I'm Fillion, and then Fillion kind of like after having been hugged by Fulgar, he's like feeling like it's normal now, and so he hugs Ermintrude.
She's kind of taken aback, but she's not gonna say anything. Oh, and that is Fillion with a surname, I'm guessing.
No, just Fillion. That's just to me.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Fillion. And you, sir?
Oh, well, so out of character, does Ermintrude sound like a noble? Like, does she have like a sort of aristocratic attitude?
She probably would.
It's one of those things
Then-
where
I mean, she's not trying to push on airs. She's probably not going to but you could tell. Like she's not gonna be putting on her most fanciest affect, but you can tell.
If you think about the royals, and if you've ever
Mm.
heard William or Harry try to talk like a common person, that's pretty close to probably the kind of inflection you're going to get out of Ermintrude.
Sure.
Accurate.
Then Fulgar realizes that he's probably talking to like a landed gentry of some variety. Chokes off the laugh abruptly, looking a little embarrassed, and says, Father Merson, ma'am, at your
Pleased to
service."
meet you, Father Marison. So this here, as she like snaps her fingers, an owl materializes on her shoulder. This here is my familiar. His name is is Papageno. Is unfortunately I do not have a chaperone, so he will have to do. He is my chaperone.
You are looking at Ermintrude, and she looks quite young to be in a bar like this.
True.
Fear not, ma'am. I'm sure Miss Wrist's establishment is a very reputable one. You were asking about bar chips.
Yes.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, certainly in my experience as a humble sailor, ma'am, it's I've always found the saltiness of bar snacks to help with one's appetite and one's drink.
Very interesting.
At this point in time, the
From
crab
behind
chips
the-
would have been brought out
Please,
to Jack.
please, gentlemen, continue.
At this point in time, Hannah
go
will
ahead.
have brought out the crab chips to Jack.
Oh.
These are some of the best chips you're going to find anywhere. Normally they make them from potatoes, but I find they're much better when you put a little bit of protein in them.
All right.
Fillion is disappointed when she says that they're not actually made out of potatoes.
So, did your village really like potatoes then, huh? I mean, I've been through a lot of potato villages, farms, potatoes everywhere. Everyone dies because of famine.
Yeah, there's a lot of potatoes. That was kind of our main dish. We didn't really have none of this fish or lobster or anything like that. We had potatoes, meat and potatoes. You know, that's what we always ate.
And then out of from behind Ermintrude, giant Goliath walks up and says, "Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Fillion kind of cocks his head. Well, if I joined the army, I would be able to travel a lot, but I don't really think that's for me.
I mean, when you sail a lot, you get to travel a lot.
That's true.
If you're wondering, got some stories for your encyclopedia if you don't mind. What
An
the storyteller?
honorable profession, I'm sure.
Well, I do
Yeah,
like me a
not
good
the best one.
story.
that's what they like you to think."
Oh well, pull up a
I'll
chair.
tell you one another time.
You're getting to the point where the table that Fillion and Fulgar started around was a comfortable table for 3. And so at this point in time, when you ask Garland to pull up a chair,
Pull up a table.
Yeah, he's pulling up a table and sitting on the table.
Oh wow. You
Beautiful.
He's tall, so yeah, that for him a table is a comfortable chair. And Hannah doesn't seem to be bothered by this at all. It almost seems like it's quite normal for her. So
I still turn to her and say, "My apologies."
oh, that's fine. It's not hard to scrub it off.
I'll try and remain hygienic.
Appreciate it. And you're getting the sense that she's kind of almost cowering from you, mostly because her neck has to be cricked back so hard in order to be able to see you.
I push back my hooded shawl, and you see that if you actually have ever met a Goliath, my character looks a little different than the usual because he has hair and not tattoo, and he doesn't have any tattoos.
she'll relax a little bit at that. Well, you're just a big teddy bear. You go right ahead.
My name's
You,
Garland. And
Howdy, Garland.
Good to meet you.
my friend
And what is your surname, sir?
Garland Braun.
Pleased to meet you.
Appropriate.
And then I introduce myself and my chaperone.
Cute little owl you have there. Braun's less of a surname and more of a title, though.
Ah, well, that does make a lot of sense. If it's not too much trouble, may I ask, what exactly are you? I've never met somebody like you.
I am a Goliath. Come from the mountains, though I don't know. I don't know.
Goliath.
I don't know too much about our culture.
Well, that puts a name to it. At least I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
You said you served, Mr. Braun. Were you in the Keoish army? Served the king?
I'd rather not say. He
Fair enough.
kind of seems nervous as soon as you say that.
Let me buy you a drink then. Hannah,
Fulgar,
please.
roll out
I
a.
turn to Kahoy.
Just a
And,
drink for everybody here, really.
I turn to Kahoy and ask,
You're very
So what do you
kind,
think?
sir.
so what do you think?
Uh,
What you expected?
I look to the 8-foot Goliath, then I look at them, and I look back. You think they're ready for adventuring? Some fighting, maybe. Go outside sometime, no?
Hard to tell. The more country boy seems strong, at least.
I imagine we're like a foot away from the table, and you guys are literally hearing this.
Oh yeah.
As we're
Yeah,
having
I'm
like
not-
all our little
You
convo.
I'm not whispering.
you lads don't have much of an inside voice, huh?
Fulgar, I'm actually gonna just point something out to you with your passive wisdom. At the mention of somebody being in the Keoish army, you will have noticed a number of the other people in the tavern kind of start to pay a little bit more attention to your table. They are already noticing the Goliath and Filion as well, but now they're really kind of starting to pay.
Oh, okay. We don't like strangers in this here town sort of attention, or
You could roll a perception or insight if you wanted to figure that out.
Sure, yeah. Let's roll the game.
Make it good. Make it good. Oh.
Whoa.
2.
And it's awful.
Oh man. Your passive wisdom.
I am on my third drink.
That is true. Yeah, that is true. So, you're just noticing that people are kind of paying attention, and just you think not much of it, honestly, because suddenly you have 6 people, including a Goliath, sitting on a table. So,
Sure, yeah,
totally,
It's completely reasonable. Yeah,
absolutely.
making a lot of noise. We're in the middle of the table. Yeah.
It is also, by the way, just to be clear about this, not long in the day. This is actually relatively mid-morning-ish. All this is kind of going down. So it's 5 o'clock somewhere for you guys.
Is it still lightly raining outside?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Is Jackie with us, or like is he in the table with us?
He was at the bar last I heard.
Yeah. But this time I think it's a bunch of weird people, to be honest. Some that I've never seen before, and one asking about bar etiquette. Pretty much. What to order and what not.
What would I be able to, like, because I'd be asking you what would be your name, sir? I'm so sorry for disturbing, but I don't quite know your name. Both of you asking Kahoy and Jackie.
Oh, call me Jackie. Jack. One.
You have a surname?
Not really.
Okay.
Family wasn't really big on surnames,
Jackie.
but
Ah, you must have been a son of someone, though, right?
well, I mean,
What about
after
you, Mr. Kahoy? Do you have a family name?
Me. My name Kahoy. Kahoy. Solitude. Yep.
Cool.
Kahoy Solitude.
Pleased to
Fillion
meet
taps
you,
up
Mr.
Jack
Solitude.
for the no last names crew.
Like Cher.
yeah,
or Prince?
Or Bono.
our Prince, Bono, yeah,
Well, and
Such a
plenty of us there.
esteemed crew.
well, and anybody who's had any experience on the seas at all will know this is not unusual. People don't go by their last names usually; they just go by a name, and
Yeah.
that is because it's too hard to say last names. Mr. Marison is about as far as people, and actually they'll go Father Marison, if anything. That's about as far as they're willing to go when they're shouting out commands on a ship. So, single names are usually pretty good.
Yeah, leaning into Fillion. Mostly people just swore at me when I was on board ship when they wanted me to do something. So actually being called by my name is it's a step up if I'm honest.
Goodness.
Oh,
Fillion
seriously?
just laughs.
Oh, my apologies, my lady. It's just that, well, sailors tend to be a rough lot, and when you're being shot at by pirates,
Totally
It's a thing that
understood,
happens.
Father Marison. But you don't have to alter your mannerisms in front of me or in my behalf.
of course not, my lady. Fulgar continues to
So-
alter his mannerisms in front of me.
I understand you have different standards.
So, Fulgor, is that the name correct?
Yeah, Fulgar. Name my mother gave me.
Fulgar, I see your armor. You too, Filion. You have fighting experience. Outside adventure,
Yeah.
maybe. You,
Adventuring, you say?
you here
Gentlemen,
for that reason?
I am, I say.
Mm, If I'm honest,
Since
I
we're
don't know
talking
why,
about...
man.
Oh,
But go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, since we're talking about adventuring, I actually am, seeing as we seem to have been acquainted with each other, I'm actually here because I want to start my career as an adventurer, and I was wondering if any of you knew of something to do in this town that needs doing. Something an adventurer could do. I'm trying to start out as one, so I'd just like to know if anybody has heard of any places I can go.
Well, I
Oh, no,
just
we
got
did
here, so
you
I
around.
don't-
Well, why don't we ask the local barkeep, Hannah? What big beasties need killing around these parts?
You'll look to you. She'll look. Just a second. She's kind of chatting up an older gentleman, in the corner, and just kind of finishes the conversation. Comes over to you. I'm sorry. What was it you were asking?
Gesture to the people asking about adventure.
I was just wondering if you knew of any, bits of work that an adventurer may do. Starting out adventurer may do. I am kind of in the business of adventuring for the moment.
Interesting.
Garland looks Ermintrude up and down, tries to see
I
if
don't
she
look
would-
convincing.
Yeah, just to see if like he sees any magic on her or like anything.
Okay.
But
You could.
He's a simple guy.
I have a wand. I'm kind of like carrying around a wand. So there's that.
That's probably the only indication that
he
you've
would
got. Then.
he would walk. Yeah, he would walk up to her and noticing she's kind of noble-ish, he would say, "Well, if you need protection for the right price, I can assist you on your adventures." And he puts a very big, sarcastic emphasis on the adventures.
Well, I'm guessing if you need a protection as well, I can offer you my services, Mr. Braun.
At this, Hannah
It would be an
chortles.
honor.
I chuckle.
We're all,
fact, I spent a little
I'm
bit
guessing,
some-
in the same business anyway.
Well, Hannah,
This is building an encyclopedia. I got plenty of stories, and I'm looking for stories myself too to tell. Perhaps as unconventional as it
I
may
am
seem,
in a way
would be nice.
also doing that because I am trying to, chronicle my efforts to find adventures and whatever I learn along the way. So I am like yourself in that way.
You and I are gonna get along. Plenty to tell.
Hannah will, in response to your question after this little exchange happens, and I'll say, well, there's rumors. That's all I tend to get in here, and I'm not exactly the person who's going to go and search to find if they're true. But there is a rumor of a couple of fishing boats that have gone missing. The fella that I heard it from claimed it had to have been the Sea Devils. Not that I know what that means, but it's that's one thing, I suppose.
Well,
See, there was do I by any chance know what she was referring to? You perhaps knowing all these stories and as a sailor.
When you hear the phrase
There
sea
any-
devils, you immediately think of some sort of a sea creature, like a sahwad, and that kind of an idea. That would have done it.
All right.
The shark folk.
seems
Yeah.
as good a place as any to begin. But I'm wondering, is there anybody in this town who is willing to pay for us to do that work?
Oh,
It's not adventuring if we're going out there.
I suppose that's true. Well, your best bet would probably be to speak to pretty close to anybody in the council. They're the ones who hold the sway in town. There's the main council person is Ada Oland. Ada, she runs a lot of the fishing boats in the area, and she's kind of been on council for a long time. She might have some work, especially if there's boats gone missing. I don't know if they're hers or not. Nobody says these things. You could. I don't know if you want to work for the military or for the guard at all, but you could always check in with Jelen for that if you wanted to. I hear and you immediately sense a change in the quality of her voice to being one of a little bit of disdain. There is a mine that's being opened up outside of town as well. There's a dwarf, I don't know her name, that's doing that. And if you've been in the armies at all, and she kind of does a little bit of a glance to Garland as she says that. If you've been in the armies at all, you might be of good use to Fireborn. That might be another place that you do. There's also another councilman, Anders. He seems to have no end of work these days. There's lots of people. Like it's a busier town than we like to admit. There's probably lots of business.
Well,
Right.
seems like this town is on the up and up. Well, since we have heard about the missing boats first, do you all think we should do that? Maybe approach this. Was that Councilman Oland?
Oland, yes, she's the one that has been on council the longest.
Certainly.
Perhaps we could
Fishing
speak with
boats
her
going-
about getting hired.
Sound good to
Fishing boats
me.
going missing is a bad business. Someone needs to stop it.
Fillion nods. If folks are getting hurt, that's where we should focus our energy.
You hear a big growl coming from Garland's stomach, and he says, "Any work works for me."
I just slide what's like at this point I'm gonna be like half with my plate with my chips and I just slide it to him. Welcome to the awesome.
He literally like
I
just
think I'm a
pours
lion.
the rest into his mouth.
First, the young lad here down in his drink. Now you're down in all those crab chips. What next? One of you gonna sort of spontaneously manifest an ability to just spontaneously eat a whole pig?
I could eat a pig faster than you've ever seen it eaten.
You know, now that I say that, I can believe it.
By this point in
I,
time,
uh,
Hannah has kind of just disappeared into the background. Homer Simpson through the hedge kind of version.
Mhm. Hannah,
Cool.
hide your pigs.
And as he says, I'm gonna turn a
problem.
little and I'm gonna cast minor illusion to create some oink oinks coming from the back.
Okay, from where?
From the back of the kitchen. Just
Oh,
gonna-
she's okay. Well, she was about to go back to the kitchen, and Hannah says, "No problem. We don't have any." But what? Kind of runs into the kitchen.
I think they're more into seafood here.
No, not by the sound of it. And I just sort of like nudge whoever casted minor illusion while laughing. Good one.
Another big growl comes from Garland.
Well,
This
you
one
never
from the
know.
stomach.
I've never heard of anyone eating a sea devil, but maybe you'll be the first one to try.
There's only one way to find out. That will be a hell of a story. You can write that one on your books.
Garland seems interested.
Certainly.
And I'll tell the tales if. Just leave it at that. Alright, shall we go?
Well, if we are gonna go, like just give me a moment, and she would insist to just like go and get dressed into traveling clothes because, always dress appropriately. And then after that, she's gonna go ahead and join the others and wherever they're gonna go,
So
which I'm guessing is the council person.
just as a quick aside for you, when it comes to the economy of things, and the payment of foods and such, I'm probably not going to roleplay that out too much unless you guys want to try to convince somebody of something along the lines of you have to pay for your food and drink. I'll pretty much just simply say on your way out.
All right, 2 silver paid.
All right, there you go.
Thank you.
Is that
very reasonable.
food and lodging?
That would no, for lodging you would have had to have thrown in another silver.
Okay, cool.
That's for each, right?
Yes. Now, for each. So,
Alright.
Well, each. Yeah, I'm gonna say each. Not all of you will have had the lodging though. You would have all. Chances are Ermintrude would have had the lodging for sure because of her sensibilities. But it's up to the rest of you guys if you chose to actually stay here from the previous night or if you've arrived this morning. I'll leave that actually open up to you guys. I'll leave it open to Ermintrude too, but it's up to you guys.
I think one was left here.
Yeah, I think I would have gone in last night. Yeah, I'll have chucked in another silver for a room.
So, and the rooms that you guys stayed in, they were in the top level of this tavern, or the upper level. And the rooms, they're not exactly the most. They basically look like the cabins you would have on a ship. They're not all that elaborate by any stretch.
Very homely.
Very much so.
At least with prestidigitation, I can, clean it as much as I can.
Absolutely, you can. And even with prestidigitation, there is still the fish smell.
Oh man.
Yeah, miss, I hated to say it when I saw you waving around your fancy wand and doing that, but it never comes out.
Well,
Like
we must adjust to circumstances. Yeah, I'm a good sport. So it's fine.
I got some incense that helps. Yeah.
Filion
Yeah,
already has an entire page about the fish spell written.
yeah, I figure if you
How
start
you
bathing,
got
perhaps
pay?
yourself will start overpowering this the smell of fish. Might help.
So,
Uh,
jeez.
yeah, maybe we should get going.
Yeah.
Well, as you step
Yeah, where's
out,
this councilman?
as you are you asking Hannah that?
Honestly, at this point, 3 drinks in, Fulgar's kind of just asking the room. But
Okay.
yeah, if Hannah wants to answer, that'll be helpful.
All right. Well, the guy with the thick white beard that had the patch on the right hand corner of his chin, that probably the council's house, just next door. Just kind of points beside the building.
Oh, well, that's convenient, old man with an eye patch. Any other gems of wisdom you want to share, old timer?
Well, catch has been good if you're going out fishing.
Ah, fantastic, thanks.
Alright, might try my hand.
Sorry, say that again.
Might try my hand at it.
Well, there's plenty of work. Probably ask the council people. They'll at least one of them will hire you, I'm sure.
I walk up behind Filion and slam him on the back and say, "Is this your first adventure?"
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I traveled a little bit and had to fight off some monsters, but nothing too major.
Impressive on your own. You nervous or excited?
I'm curious. I've never been this far from home, and it's there are a lot of things to learn. I just wanna know more. And I think it's really like funny. Like the whole point is that like Filion is really dumb, but he wants to learn like a lot. like he he's like he wants to increase his knowledge.
Thirst
Way
for
smarter than
knowledge.
that, Kurt.
Yeah. Thirst for knowledge with a whole lot of space to put it. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
All right. So, as you guys step out of the tavern, it's still lightly raining. It's a very the sun is still producing quite a bit of light. So it's, if you think London fog, that's kind of the light that you're getting out of it. And a little bit of, but there's also a small drizzle with it. So it's not one that's going to soak you to your core by any stretch, but you don't, if you have any sensibilities, you don't like the idea of it. And I don't think any of you guys have an umbrella or anything like that in your inventory yet. But as you step out, so when you step out of the tavern, directly in front of you is the docks. You can cross the street and go straight up to the docks. There is a long dock that a merchant vessel is currently moored to. It's basically straight out in front of you. You look to your left, and you do see a fairly significant structure to your left, especially compared to many of the other structures. Most of the structures, actually the tavern you just left was one of the taller structures, except for this council hall, which is obviously the building to your left. But if you keep on looking around you, you do see there are other taller buildings and that are obviously quite well appointed. And then a number of other buildings that obviously belong to some of the less affluent people in the village. All along the where you are currently situated is kind of this tiny little inlet where all the ships are coming into to make dock. The dock seems to be on this side only. There is a bridge to your right as you look out of the tavern as well. Those of you who came from inland as opposed to coming from the sea will have probably gotten to this tavern by way of that bridge, which means you will have also passed the city guard tower and learned of the Kingfisher River that is the one that this inlet kind of feeds from. Across the inlet is a number of other houses. They're all much smaller houses as well. You guys make your way towards the council hall? Is that what you're planning on doing?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. With a passive wisdom. of, and this is what I gotta look up real quick. Actually, I think it's just gonna be Father Marison. Haha, Fulgar. You're gonna notice that there's actually a little bit of a gathering of people, a little bit beyond the council, actually a ways beyond the council house. A number of people are starting to kind of walk in like a crowd beginning to gather just out of sight.
Okay, interesting. Can I see, like, is this your torch and pitchfork wielding mob gathering? Or,
No,
okay.
it's more of the Gawker, something's happening over here gathering.
Okay, all right.
There's a schoolyard
tap,
fight and everybody's coming to watch kind of thing.
Tap Fillion on the shoulder if he's nearby and point over through the mist. In fact, I'll probably if the mist is sort of like obscuring vision a little bit. I know it doesn't do much, but it's the sort of thing he'd do in character. So Fulgar would sort of mutter, Brocan, give me light in the darkness. And sort of raise the tip of his spear, glow with light, point over at the crowd and say to Fillion, looks like it looks like someone started a brawl or something.
Well, let's why don't we go take a look, see what's going on before we proceed.
Look around at everyone else. Like, I mean, the council house is right there. We might as well go have a look at what's going on before we go in.
Well, it's always promising to have like a crowd. Usually, there's some trouble is there, which is good for an adventurer to have. I'm going to ask my familiar to just like go and perch themselves on a roof right near where the trouble is, or right where the congregation of people are. And maybe like I'll give myself a little bit of that sort of scouting with their eyes, but I'm not gonna do it for a long time. I maybe just like a minute to see what it's all about, or like a few seconds.
Okay, so roll perception check for Papageno then.
Okay, Papageno. Hold on. I did not have it open.
Oh boy.
F.
All right. 1 second is for that one for you. Good. Right. Roll 20 is kind of been a little bit slow on the stream. Sorry, folks on the stream there. I have
It
Roman.
is a 4.
Yeah, it's a 4 on there.
Nat
Oof.
1.
Okay, so with your 4, it's tough for the owl to see things. It sees a crowd, but it doesn't really see much definition. The mist's kind of bothering it.
Garland's gonna go up to the nearest man in the crowd and lean down next to his face and say, "Please move," and get back up to his full height.
Yeah, they kind of look up to you and they gently part a little bit. But as you're getting into this crowd, you're starting to notice that there's a couple of people who are holding some of the crowd back, and then a small gathering of people right near along the right along the edge of the right along the bank beside a dock. While they're you're kind of noticing who these people are that are holding the crowd back, and they are what you have now come to know as the General Guards people. So the Guards people, they tend to have the same kind of tunics on them, with the emblem of the town, which is, sorry, grabbing this right, finding all of my notes. Oh, my notes are faster than that. Yes, I have it. I promise. Okay, so there we go.
It's okay.
The Yeah, I lost it, but it's a green emblem of some sort that's on their tunics, and so you do know them to be town guard of some sort, holding the crowd back. And so if you keep on pushing your way forward, the guard will say, "No, give them space." And what you'll notice is that there is a couple of guards people who are inspecting what seems to be a very waterlogged corpse that has washed up onto the bank.
Interesting.
Right.
Can I like perceive what race, that type of thing,
Sure,
or what it could have been before it was?
I'll
You
try
can-
that too.
Sure. One with advantage, or else both of you guys can roll. Your
What's
call.
your perception?
I'll give you advantage.
Okay. Advantage. 19.
All right.
Nice.
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 All right. So with a 19, interesting. Some of my the rolls aren't showing up for me. That's really bizarre. That's okay. 19. Anyway, so with a 19, you're going to see it appears in its somewhat significant state of waterlogged decomposition as though it had long hair. So you begin to assume that it probably was female at one point in time, looking at ears, knowing that most of the people in the region are going to be human, elven, or some combination between, unless they are shorter in stature, at which point they're usually dwarven. There are a few halflings in the area that you have noticed, but very seldom. This one is most likely to be a human face. And you're listening to one of the guards. As you're listening to one of the guards, you kind of hear them talking a little bit about this must be one of the guards says, "Sister." Sister? Yeah, the ones that were looking at that house over there, the haunted house.
This doesn't bode well.
No. If holy folk are being fished up out of the sea, that's
Hey, maybe you might want to refresh your Roll20. I just took a look at your stream. There has been a lot said in the
I know.
chat since
I
what
know.
you have.
Well, and I've got two versions of it open on two different computers, and neither one of them are showing me the dice. So it's frustrating. But that's okay. I'll get past it. I can hear you guys. You guys are telling me awesome things, so I'm just gonna go with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seems this is a prime town for adventuring, at least.
All right.
Yep, seems like adventure might come to us. Found to it. Ho there, Sigard. I'm a priest myself. Can I help?
And look up at say, you heard that shit. Okay.
No worries, friend. I'm just looking to see if I can help. Father Masson at your service.
Well, and the other one says, the one that's not stammering so much is, not that kind of sister, Father. The kind of sister that has a brother.
Oh.
Shut
it. Well, you.
Oh.
Oh. I blink.
Listen, if you want to help out the guard, you're certainly welcome to, but not when we're in the middle of an investigation. You really ought to go and talk to Jellin first.
Of course, friend. Didn't mean nothing by it. Just you seemed concerned.
Well, we don't like people dying around here. Doesn't go well.
Cool.
And
Of course not. It really mucks up
natural
the scenery,
causes,
doesn't
but-
it?
And you hear a couple
Yeah,
of
it
people
really ever
behind
goes
you.
well.
You hear a couple of people behind you saying, "Sea Devil's at it again."
So look around at those people. Raise my voice a little bit and say, "Well, if the Sea Devils are at it again, then the faithful of Procan will be protected from their wrath as always, as long as we honor the bounty of the sea."
And with that, a fellow
Right.
from behind the crowd. Oh, go for it. Sorry, you go ahead.
That was something about, and whoever is not, a gold piece might be nice.
You from the very back, you see a gentleman say, "Indeed, Rokan is helpful. The king is also wise. But really, it's up to us to take care of ourselves, ladies and gents." And you guys all look back, and a fairly well-appointed older gentleman, nice, neatly trimmed beard, actually has a kind of a cover over his head. Not an umbrella, but definitely similar in nature. It's kind of holding up this just strange device that just seems to let the mist kind of drip around him. No handle like an umbrella, but he, a very nicely appointed fellow. He is wearing the same garb as the guards, and he kind of pushes through the crowd, who very clearly make space for him, more so than they did actually for Garland. And with that, kind of approaches the six of you guys and says, "I hear that we've got problems. Would you mind making some space?"
Of course, sir.
Garland puts up his shawl again and kind of makes himself look as small as he can.
Fillion like kind of looks around. He sees Fulgar move, so he like kind of just like sidles next to Fulgar.
You wouldn't happen to be the gentleman this guard was just telling us to talk to before we stuck our nose in business that didn't belong to us, would you?
He kind of,
Mr. Jelland, I hear?
he's stepping just out of you guys and kind of hears you mention that and turns back to you and says, yes, Jellum Primewater at your service. I am the captain of the guard, if you will.
Father Masson at yours, and a bunch of hearty do-gooders and adventurers with me. Perhaps we can be of some service.
Perhaps. Let me see what's going on here first, and then I'll let you know.
Of course.
Steps 2. So you guys are watching as he kind of crouches down around this corpse, and the other two guards. There are still other guards that are kind of preventing you from getting too close. They're not pushy, but they're making their presence very, very strongly known, as best as they possibly can. You get the sense, Garland, that if you were to, jug them on the head like Fezzik, you probably wouldn't have too much problem. That's pretty, but kind of just sits down there and takes a few moments to explore what's going on and have hushed conversation with his guards.
Miss Ermintrude.
Oh, yes?
I'm muttering quietly at this point myself, just sort of still watching them doing this. Did you hear how he made a point of emphasizing how the town has to stand by itself and do its own, sort of belittling the effort of the gods and the king? Thought that was interesting.
Perhaps they do not get much assistance here.
Hmm.
They are at odds.
Hey,
Suspect they don't ask for much.
can I have Fillion ask his angel guide if they're pray to the angel guide to see what their opinion on the situation is?
You could. Do you have a means by which you would do that?
Well, yeah, I would just pray to him. That's the kind of here. Let me. Basically, the way that it works for ASMR is they each have an angel guide
Right.
that
Yes.
is their person. His name is Al, which is not actually his name. He has like a long angel name, but Fillion just calls him Al.
Gotcha. Okay.
And his kind of thing is that he's like he wants the accumulation of knowledge, and that's kind of like where he's been guiding Fillion so far. But he's also kind of like playful, if that makes sense.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so when it comes to the angelic guides that come with that ASMR, it's usually because these angelic guides have some sort of genetic connection actually to you, and so that's where this is actually coming from as ASMR work. So you can certainly pray, and the response might come to you particularly clearly. It might come to you in dreams. It might come to you in whispers in the wind or directions of the rain shifting or something along those lines. You might not get an immediate or clear response, but you will probably, sometimes you'll get a response. Sometimes you won't even be able to tell if there is a response.
Okay. Do I roll like a religion check?
In this case, let's see how you play it out first, and then we'll kind of decide based off of that.
Okay. Fillion kind of like steps to the side and he kind of whispers, "Hey, Al, what do you think about everything kind of going on here? That body looks a little messed up. I'm really sure we should necessarily this particular. It might be a good idea to help out the town."
We're gonna get you to roll a perception check.
Okay. That's a nat one.
Nat
but it's-
one.
Dang.
What's the +4?
That's rough.
Guidance. Oh, you just
I'm
gave
not sure
yourself
what is
guidance? You gave yourself guidance. That's fun. Yeah. Yeah. In your
I
in
think
your
it's just
sheet,
like auto.
did it automatically
Yeah,
give you
it's auto
guidance?
press.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough then.
Yeah,
So
how did
Yeah.
I?
in your sheet, there is usually under the checks section, there is a checkbox that allows you to provide guidance. Let me just look at it real quick.
Okay.
Where is your guidance thing? How did it get in there?
Yeah, you
Your sheet doesn't have it.
right under the no, it would be under like like right above the tool proficiency section.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But it's
Yeah,
not there.
global
So
skill modifier.
we'll have a look at
Hmm.
we'll have a look at that later on. Yeah, for whatever reason, it's not on your sheet, and yet it's
It's
still
like
happened, so
underneath passive perception.
for you. Yeah, for yours, it's on your sheet, but it's not on Fillion's. That's what's weird. Anyway,
Huh.
yeah, whatever. Life happens. So with this ridiculously low perception check, unfortunately, you don't really sense much more than the rain around you.
Fillion just kind of like stands around for a second and then shrugs and goes back to the group. Al doesn't always listen to me. It's a damn shame.
Oh, know the feeling, friend. Often I call out to guidance from my gods, but it seems as if the whims of random chance and fate play more of a part in whether or not they listen to me than any connection I might have.
Yeah, it probably is set up in settings
will.
there. Yeah, I'll fix that later on. No biggie.
Okay.
Okay, so after a few moments,
Alright.
Jellin stands up, and the two guards have now kind of wrapped up this corpse and are starting to carry it off. And the crowd has started to already disperse because the initial shock of coming across the corpse was what drew the crowd, and now they're just sitting there, watch people whisper. They kind of got bored of it and started walking away. You guys were still kind of kicking around there, and Jellin says,
I have.
"Oh, go for it."
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I forgot a thing, which is that because Papageno is an owl with keen hearing and sight, I would have been able to do the perception with advantage. Could I like do a second roll just in case,
Yeah.
like I see some like detail or like clue about the incident, or like in the scene of the crime, or maybe with like the people talking, which I might be able to do.
Yes, absolutely.
Because
you have keen seeing,
So we'll
keen
just use-
seeing and hearing, right? For a novel.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so I'm just gonna roll a second time. I'm just gonna use the left hand roll.
Yep.
I guess. So it's a 16.
Cool. So with the same stuff as described, if you're still sitting there with the owl's perceptions, even at this point in time.
No, so I've like come the party up, but like the rooftop.
So in that, you're going to notice, again, being perched on the ring, notice Jelen come here, but aside from that, it much of the noticed, though, is when Owl's vision for his angelic guide to guide him, seemed to be a small shift in the wind that kind of pushed the rain in a different direction than it normally would.
Very weird phenomena. I don't really say anything about it. Not even to Filian.
The Jelen will stand up and kind of part the crowd again. Mostly just you guys now. It kind of turn to you and say, unfortunately, based off of what I've heard from my guards here, not much else that can be done for this one. It looks to me like it was Sea Devils again. They seem to be getting a little bit more brazen these days, but what I hear, she was looking for
Have you
some...
actually seen these Sea Devils, Captain? Or has anybody?
Well,
the people?
There's lots of rumors. We just leave it at that. My main job is not that. It's to take care of the town and to make sure the trade happens the way it's supposed to. So I just leave all those rumors and those strange stories to the dock folk. Nonetheless,
Garland
sightings.
Garland walks up to him and points to the woman and says, "Well, it's becoming your problem.
Indeed.
Whose job is it to actually deal with these devils? And we can help them out."
Well, it seems the king is interested in it. He's, that could be of a little bit of benefit, I suppose, to the town. However, all the other things that the king is sending along with his lovely new naval ambitions is not exactly going to be great for a town. We don't want to turn into Seaton. So, I'm just trying to keep things the best that I can. And if I can keep people away from coming here, including the Sea Devils, maybe even including a few guard folk, I'll be all the happier. We're a very pleasant town without all the extra interest.
That much is true.
Nonetheless, this girl
people
here...
have said a lot about Seaton.
Oh, yes, of course they have.
They've said a lot about Seaton, guard captain, but I can't say I was regularly confronted by corpses of ladies in the street that the guard captain would dismiss as just a rumor.
That wouldn't have been a possibility with all those walls they put up around that town. There's nothing there but mercenaries and guard folk now. Not even a town. It's basically just a large barracks. There's not going to be a lot there to work with. Here, we're a town, and unfortunately, unusual things happen here, like haunted houses, apparently, and he kind of gestures to the corpse as they're carrying it away. Like haunted houses that bring attention of young boys and girls who think they can actually do something about it.
Yeah, you mentioned, one of the guard folk mentioned that haunted house. Just on the off chance that a priest and other such magical folk might well be able to help with your corpse rumor problem. Where is this house?
Oh, they claim that the house up on just down the way, and he kind of points towards the east, toward a ways, and definitely gesturing to such a way that it is actually well out of town. Yeah, he says it's been abandoned for quite some time, actually. But they just claim that it's haunted. Nobody bothers with it, and it doesn't bother us. And when they go bother with it, well, they end up on my banks.
Yeah, Fulgar, when he's saying no one bothers with it and it doesn't bother us, Fulgar just deadpan looks at the corpse, looks at him, looks at the corpse again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see how well that's working out for you.
Well, best way to deal with it, don't go there. You don't want to die? Don't go there. Keep telling people this. I mean, you're welcome to try, but I'm going to start running out of spaces to put corpses after a while.
Well,
Jewish man.
That's a good point. Might have to dig deeper. Anyways, you should take care of this uh sea devils. That'll be a nice adventure for you to begin, Mrs. Ermintrude.
Well, it's Miss, by the way.
I'm sorry.
But yes, any adventure is as good as, it's as good as place as any to start. So I guess we have to talk to whoever is going to be paying us for this service.
Yeah, with your permission, guard captain, and Fulgar's definitely being a little sarcastic on permission. With your permission, guard captain, we'll maybe try and show you what the king and the gods can do for your little town, and try and sort out this problem so that you don't run out of burial space.
Cocks an eyebrow at you. Says, well, if you're gonna get any play from that, you'll probably want to talk to Ada. It's at the council hall, and that's where I'm going. So if you guys want to accompany me, feel free.
All
Right.
Don't mind if we do.
Up on sticks.
All right. And so you guys start making your way towards the council hall again. As you get to the council hall, it is a very nice structure. A lot of the buildings here, they seem to be built from wool, basically from lumber and such. Come to think of it, while I'm thinking about that, the inn and tavern that you were at, all of the wood that they used to build this thing, it looked like it had actually come from old broken down ships. And so it's got this very patchworky, every type of wood kind of thing going on that looks like it's been saltborne. Probably a reason why it smells like fish all the time. But this building, the council hall, there is stonework in this, so it is a much stronger facility. And so as he opens up the door, and kind of shakes off the thing that he was holding over his head a little bit, and steps into the door, he is immediately greeted by a human female. She is she's got graying hair. It's been cut short. Her face is got very much the same kind of salt-worn feel that you guys have, although it doesn't. It seems to have also added a couple of extra wrinkles to her face. So she's definitely up a little bit more up in years. But her skin is almost leather with the gray hair that she's got. And she almost immediately accosts Jellin as they step in and says, "So?" And he kind of looks to her and nods. And he said, "Just the girl." She kind of shrugs. And who are these? Not captors, not prisoners, I hope. You're taking them to the wrong place. No, they're interested in work, frankly.
Concerned citizens, ma'am. Father Mason at your service.
Miss Ermintrude Fanshawe, ma'am. I imagine you are Madam Councillor Ada Oland?
That is indeed. Word precedes me, I see. And you guys continue to introduce yourselves.
Pleased to meet you. Yeah.
So, you're concerned about the sister and brother, then?
Well, more generally, we are concerned about getting employment as adventurers in this town, and if that would mean getting to the bottom of the whatever killed these children, then so be it.
Well, if that's the case, perhaps you could be of use. What do you know about that situation? Jellin says, "Well, I told them about the fact that they were looking for the house and trying to deal with whatever was haunting it, or they're just being curious about it or something. I don't know, but that's pretty much all they know as far as I can tell."
We hear you're running out of coffins.
She gives a terse look towards Jellin. Says, "Fuck you, Jellin. We got lots of space."
Ma'am, if I might be so bold, I feel like that's not actually the problem.
No, of course not. People don't die in this town. We're usually really well. You just don't spread nonsense like that, Jellin. I just don't want any more dying. That's all. You come up with a better damn way to say it. Anyway, so yeah, we don't have a problem with it, except for when people we've got a lot more interest in town, and there's some problems that come with that. With more interest come problems, like curious people who hear stories about haunted houses, and well, one of them's dead.
Fillion kind of like narrows his eyes. He's like thinking really hard to put these pieces together, but he's like, wait, there were 2 kids, so the other kid hadn't turned up. Is that right?
She kind of she turns to Jellin. No word on the boy? Well, no living word anyway.
He could still be in the house.
Yes, you could.
Yeah, Fulgar.
That's true.
Could you
Also,
fill us in as
may
quickly
I,
as possible? please?
ask for a little
Sorry.
bit of clarification.
Hang on a second
How
there.
is
Hang on there a second, Amateur. I'm just gonna Fulgur, what were you saying there?
Oh, I was just asking her to fill us in as soon as possible because it sounds like there's someone in danger. But
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask for some clarification. How are the haunted house and the sea devils connected? It's like I imagine a sea devil would not be quite at home in a house rather than the sea. So, which one is it?
She kind of gives you this curious look of confusion and says to you, I don't necessarily. Probably they are not. They're just 2 different problems. See, the problem is with these sea devils, they started showing up when the King's people started showing up, trying to start up their own navy. And it's partly because I know that they're worried about the sea princes to the south, and so that's why they started dealing with this navy. They obviously weren't doing so great up north, and so now here they are. But now that there's sea princes and Keoish naval officers all in the same place, and they all happen to be either beaten, thankfully. Now that it seems like the sea is fighting back almost, and caught in the middle of it. Welcome to Saltmarsh.
The sea giveth and the sea taketh away.
Ain't that the truth?
Seems like you need
So
an
it's
axe.
An entirely different problem.
2 different issues, one that I don't know where to begin on. The other, not even sure if I want to, although if we're going to have more people coming to town and we want to make sure the town is still nice and safe, maybe we really ought to do something about this. Been abandoned. I don't know why they call it haunted. Maybe it's just because people like to share stories and rumors and make shit up, but whatever.
Well, I would
No.
imagine we probably want to go to the house first because there's possibility of rescue for the boy. But may we ask, how much do you believe we can get for this service for your town?
To be frank, I hadn't thought about that. Give me a moment on that. She just kind of sits there and ponders. Would you-
Fillion has decided that he very distinctly does not like Ada. She's using all these fancy words and not talking straight.
Says,
Ada is the council person.
yeah, council person with a sailor's tongue. She kind of just ponders for a little bit.
Probably me.
You know, if this is going to be town business, I really ought to discuss with everybody else. It's not really my business. My business is fine on the docks without it. Tell you what, how long have you been in Saltmarsh?
Oh, only a day, Madam Counselor.
And we've only seen 1 corpse.
Yeah, not a great start. You know what would be a great start is for you to check out the markets and some of the other places. Tell you what, come back later on today. I'll have a chance to have talked to Anders and to and to gel in a little bit better and talk to everybody about what we actually even want to do with this house, because it's not even in Saltmarsh proper, so I don't know how much they're gonna care. I just don't want people hurt anymore.
Ma'am, to be frank, there's a boy in danger in the house, you think?
Well, you're welcome to check it out on your own if you so choose, and perhaps there'll be reward for you in it somehow.
That could be something we could do in the meantime as we wait for Madam Counselor to talk with the council.
You say you're just
Yeah.
new to
Yeah.
Saltmarsh. You could, if you really want to try, you could certainly find yourself a new home. And Jalen says, Ada! What? They could?
Garland leans over to Filion and says, "I don't like this lady. She's forgetting about the life in danger."
Filion leans back closer to Garland and he says, "Yeah, you're definitely right about that."
Fillion,
And,
Garland. Inside voice.
We are inside.
Filion nods. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, Fulgar. We're definitely inside.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and she doesn't seem to care. Just
Well, in any case, if there's someone in danger, ma'am, then we may well go investigate anyway, with your leave. I'm sure your markets are lovely, and this town is a wonderful place to make a home. And I'm sure none of us would want to make a home in this town if there was someone else potentially in danger, even if they were just a little bit beyond the town's borders.
Indeed. Fair enough. Well, and to be frank, that's actually what I'm hoping the council decides, that they're willing to put some coin to it. So, if you are willing to go and check it out, I'm certainly going to be pushing for that for myself. And
Any retroactive reward would be appreciated.
Indeed. And she kind of gives a stern look over to Jelen, and Jelen says, "Yeah, I could push to that too."
Oh, one last thing I want to ask. How long have they been missing, these two children?
That's a good question, Jelen. Jelen says, "Oh, it's not been a long time. Few days. No,
Few
would have been
days,
longer.
yes.
Would have been a week, actually, now that I think about it, because it was when the catch was a little bit low. So when the catch was that was about a week ago, and that was when I had heard that they had left. So it's been a while since she may have been floating out on that sea for maybe 6 days ish."
All right. I think that's gonna take utmost priority to get on the boy. Sorry.
Why were they interested in the house?
Oh, boys, perhaps.
Well, you
They were
could
just curious. They had heard one of my stories, perhaps, and they wanted to make sure that
indeed.
it was actually real.
Yeah, and Jalen say, well, and unfortunately you couldn't tell from how waterlogged it was, but they weren't that much older than this one. He points to Ermintrude.
They were 16?
Yeah, about that.
They still be
Garland's
checking
already-
out
Well, yeah, that's why
haunted houses.
that's why I'm kind of looking at you with the shrewd eyes that I am, because forgiving me, miss, but the last ones who went there died. Well, obviously one of them died. The last girl who went there at your age died. So if you're going to be with these guys, and he kind of points mostly to Garland, but to everybody else as well, if you're going to be with these guys, you might fare better. But at the same time, I'd hate to see another young face come up on my shores.
Which is why I'm so thankful that you have reassured us that there is enough space and coffins should we meet that end.
It's really reassuring.
You can only hear Ada swearing under her breath. Jelen, you need to work on your bedside manner. Pot me
if the
kettle.
Lady Fanshawe wants to go into danger, Ada, Councilman Ada, I'm sure she'll choose to, regardless of your warnings.
Fillion is looking for a bed, and he does not see one, and he is confused.
Well, and we are actually at the end of our session time, so we're gonna pause it right there, and pick up right in at the
Yeah.
front of the council hall
Nice.
here, having basically decided what you
Alright.
guys are gonna do next. And so I guess next week we see about a house and go from there.
It's free real
Alright.
estate.
Yeah.
True.
Actually-
Real estate. Oh gosh. Those
That'll
on Twitch,
definitely
thank you
be
very
the
much for
title of
joining.
that. Yep, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Awesome.
Thanks for the energy.
Goodbye.
Yep.
See you guys next